Hi, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful week and you're ready for another talk. This week we are talking about an article on the blog Australian Aviation that says that Brisbane Airport has won the Brisbane or the Queensland Government that international airlines may withdraw from Brisbane due to restrictions. So we will see what the article is about and my opinion. So stick around. Let's talk. So let's talk Brisbane Airport and restrictions in Queensland. Recently, the Queensland Government has announced the roadmap for for the future in the state, and they have announced that only when the state reaches 80% vaccination, there will be ease of restrictions. However, for example, interstate travelers will be able to enter the state without quarantine, but apparently there will be some differences with foreign arrivals, so international arrivals. With this, the Brisbane Airport has warned the government that if they impose such restrictions on international arrivals, they may actually cause that international airlines would withdraw from the airport and choose other states instead as an entry point in Australia because they the restrictions and obligation of quarantine for those arrivals could mean that there will just not be the demand there and the airlines will withdraw because the flights wouldn't be viable. According to the article, they believe that if a person is vaccinated, is fully vaccinated, and present a certificate and also a negative test, they should have exactly the same treatment, and quarantine shouldn't be mandatory. But there's always an issue. Well, I understand the point of view of the Brisbane Airport because I obviously understand what's at stake here. Airlines, obviously, and I have said this in previous videos, it is very expensive to run these flights. The cost of fuel, everything, it's expensive. So if you have restrictions on board and if you have such restrictions and you don't have the number of passengers you don't have enough passengers to actually cover those costs and make that operation profitable, then it's not worth it. And airlines have been really affected by the pandemic. Most of them have grounded their fleet because of all these restrictions and because of border closures and things like that. So we need to understand that for airlines, if it's not profitable, if they're not going to make any profit on it, they're not going to be able to do it. This is the restart. And if they do it, if they insisted in doing it with a restricted number of passengers, that would probably mean extremely high ticket prices, which wouldn't be good either because it would be a deterrent for a lot of travelers and a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford it. So in an airline perspective, I see that if there is going to be such restrictions in a particular airport, they may move their fleet or they move their flights into another airport, into another state where those restrictions are not as bad and not as restrictive, and obviously have a more profitable operation. However, for example, for the tourism in that area, in this particular case for Queensland, it would be extremely bad because obviously if there's no international arrivals, obviously there won't be tourists, and that will mean that the tourism in the state will suffer even more than what has been suffering with the pandemic. So this is obviously a very delicate issue, and I see that is really um, something that polarizes opinions, and a lot of people think, oh well, we need to protect the state and we need to continue this because it's obviously a danger there, etc., etc. Well, we know that the number of cases will increase, even with high level of vaccination. That has been the case in a lot of countries in the world. However, now we are looking more into the numbers of hospitalizations rather than the number of cases, because we know the cases will increase. But if people are vaccinated, the illness won't be as severe. Another thing that a lot of people, it's in a lot of people's minds, is the veracity of certificates, and there's been already accounts of forging some certificates and things like that. Obviously, that's something that is always in mind, and unfortunately, there's always those that will do the wrong thing. But I think that if someone is fully vaccinated with a TGA-approved vaccine, uh, and they present a certificate and they present a negative test, I don't see why they should be treated differently. And I think it is time for us to unite and just start thinking about the bigger picture here. And really, the tourism industry have suffered enough, not only in Queensland, but all over the country, all over the world. And we need to see that airlines need really to start a profitable operation if we really want to have the same level of travel that we had before. We really need to understand that things need to ease, and airlines need to have conditions for them to operate in a profitable way. Otherwise, they will simply withdraw and they will simply go elsewhere where they can actually run a profitable operation. This is what I think. I think it needs to be a balance between things, and we need to obviously protect our country and protect Queensland and other states. Of course, it is important, but we also need to see that if we are vaccinated and the levels of vaccination are high, that we really need to start thinking about opening up. And if the people that we allowed into the country, obviously, I'm still a bit conflicted about allowing unvaccinated people in. That's another matter. But if people are vaccinated, if they are fully vaccinated and they have a negative test, in my opinion, I don't see why they couldn't be allowed in, and why they still have to endure a 14-day quarantine, which would obviously be unpractical if you come on a holiday and you must have 14 days of that holiday in hotel quarantine. It makes it obviously it makes me think that people would just go elsewhere because it's impractical. So I think there needs to be some balance here. And that's all for today. I hope you really liked this video. I hope you had a little bit of an insight of what is happening currently in Australia and with the restrictions, and that you see the importance of having a balanced approach to things, and really see the situation here with the aviation industry that is obviously suffering the most with this pandemic. As always, if you have any questions or if you want to share your opinion, please do leave your comment below, and put a like in the video, you know, the whole story of the algorithm, the YouTube, etc., etc. And um, subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new talk every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.